Brooklyn. Yeah. Come on. Rolling, go to cedar, stash in a dash, hold two heaters, block eye, put holes through beaters, ghetto fast, throw through cheaters, ballin'. Brooklyn Dawn, addicted to Chris, hooked on Dawn, 50 G's, hook the song. Ma, I wanna see how you lookin'.
Buy this car to drive to work to pay for this car. Buy this car to drive to work.
Welcome to YellBro Road. I am Jordan, and today, the wreckage of Dave Smith. Not like argumentatively. It's Dave Smith, and I'll try to be nice. I'll try not to call him a cunt or a devil worshiper. I'll be nice. I'll just say his name because he wrecks himself, and he also wrecks Dave and Joe too. But it's Dave Smith and Douglas Murray on the Joe Rogan Experience. I have some things to say. Before I get started, don't forget to share, support, hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them, and donate. Never forget to donate, or share, or read the stories. Do it now. Alright. So, I'm not some expert on this Douglas Murray guy, but within the first 5 minutes of turning this podcast on, because I figured it was a debate. I didn't know exactly what side Douglas Murray would be on. I've heard some things about him, but not enough. I didn't know he's like full-fledged neocon, support. There isn't enough wars for him to support. Like, he wants more, right? He even plant some seed during this podcast, weirdly enough, that neither Dave or Joe really push back on, but he's planting seeds about Iran in here too, believe it or not. And evil Muslims all over the world, we need to destroy them and take them down and yada yada yada, right? But within the first 5 minutes of hearing this guy, it's like, oh my god, it's one of those guys. One of those guys that I typically call a devil worshiper or a cunt, that I will now just call Douglas Murray's from now on. Douglas Murray is a Douglas Murray. And the screenshot you see on screen right there, once again, because Joe Rogan, you get copyrighted, I guess, if you cover his videos or if you watch too much of it, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to test it out. I'm going to play a clip, but you won't see video of it. It'll just be audio because I'm trying to get the video out. I don't want it to be blocked. But the screenshot you see right here is Dave, after a particular thing is said, and you can see it on his face. He is like, it looks like he's staring at the devil. He's like, no, there's no way. You won't even give me this? And it's like, guess what, Dave? He won't give you any ground. He will lie, twist, turn, steal, Indian give. He will do everything he can to make sure that the audience walks away with a narrative. Now, thankfully, that the internet exists, and there's enough people looking into things on the internet, and there's this whole little majestic notion of Israel's actions in the Middle East are now like the bubble kind of bursts, and I think more people are paying attention to it, and then obviously Dave fans coming over here and listening to it. Once again, for the most part, not in some sort of anti-Semitic way. Just critiquing because war crimes are happening, innocent civilians are dying at a crazy rate, like absurd rate. Dave knows that. Dave's audience knows that because he tells them that. And thankfully, the audience in the video roasts this Douglas Murray guy because he's a Douglas Murray. But let's let's play the moment. There's a small section of audio. Let's play the moment where this image is from, where Dave is actually wrecked that another human being is living at this level in 2025. He's just like, there's no way human beings are like this, right? I don't care what your background is. How are you? You can't go here, man. With all the news that everyone knows about, all the internet videos, all the things we've seen, not even this one? Really? Even if you think it's justified, you could still call it what Dave's about to call it. But anyways, let's play that clip. Just the audio. And you might not hear it in his voice. Maybe you will. But Dave, he's like wrecked in this moment. Here we go.
When you look at things, when you say, which essentially I think is your point here, right? Which, I mean, I tried to push you on this, but you're saying, look, we can degrade Hamas, but the cost of that is going to be slaughtering a whole bunch of people.
It's not slaughtering, it's war.
Okay, I think you're...
That is all I will play. In fact, for me, that's all I needed to fucking hear. Granted, once again, I carefully listened to the entirety of this. If there wasn't copyright, me and the boys would be sitting here. We would have already reacted to all of it already. It would have been recorded and then posted. But Rogan, Anthony, you mentioned Rumble actually the other day or yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Rumble is going to be a future option for me because I want to be able to just cover shit and then post it without editing, no fucking special tech, no nothing. Just maybe I cut out my intro music. Maybe they have stricter rules on Rumble about music copyright. Whatever. I'll do whatever. As long as I can post the content, I'm cool with it. So I might do that. I don't know if they might even copyright it over there, right? Rogan. They might copyright it over there.
It's worth a try.
Yeah, I could find out, but I don't know what because the early days of YouTube, they would just ban you 90 days for copyright strikes or copyright notices. Like, okay, you're banned for 3 months. Like what? Jeez. And if Rumble's not in that state where they have like cushions and cautionaries and all that shit to kind of help protect the content creator, then you might just get outright banned for whatever 90 days or a year or whatever the fuck they come up with. So I don't want that. But all right. Anyways. Okay, just that little portion there. And trust me, if you're curious of what a Douglas Murray looks like, watch this entire thing. I actually highly recommend watching this entire thing. And once again, this is not really offensive. I guess it's offensive, but in my heart, it's like no offense to Dave, but he met a viper and didn't know what to do. Might not even be a viper, maybe a snake charmer, where he kind of lulled people to sleep, or let's be real, interrupted Dave on several occasions, turned the conversation into a different topic, and then turned that into a different topic. Douglas Murray did that throughout this entire fucking thing. And it's like, damn, man, you can't let that happen, Dave. You got to pull it back to the main story. Stick to it. Don't let Israel-Gaza turn into Syria, then turn into Lebanon, or turn into it did turn into Lebanon for a little bit. Lebanon and Syria, and then into Libya and Gaddafi. And then he brought up something that stopped Douglas Murray from being a Douglas Murray for a second, and he started like, wait a minute, what? Like he got wrecked. He's like, what? Let me see if I can find that real fast, actually. Just 2 3. Let's go here. Let me just play this audio too. See if we can get away with this. Here we go. Dave is going to bring up a point because they somehow went from Israel Gaza to all the way to fucking Libya, and then Dave Smith brings up the thing that everyone knows about. Let's see where it goes. Here we go.
Assume that, I would hope that any major power like America would have plans in place for almost every. But nobody caused in an attempt People do not want the resources of Libya. Nobody wanted Libya to fall apart or anything like that.
No.
They did it because there was a genuine belief in what was called at the time, which has gone out of fashion, but right to protect,
Okay.
duty to
Well,
protect.
then riddle.
And that
well,
was
oh,
why
okay.
they went in.
So okay, if that's
it's
why
just important to keep
no,
that
it's interesting.
sort of nuance
it's interesting.
around.
But I don't think it's correct. I mean, you always kind of like ascribe the best of motives to Israel and the West, and nothing but the worst of motives to all of their enemies. So just riddle me this then. If we just went in because there was this uprising in 2011 and because we were worried that Gaddafi was about to go genocidal, something that the UK Parliament did an investigation into and found out said was just completely wrong. But why is it then that I got 4-star General Wesley Clark, Supreme Commander of the NATO forces? Why is it that he told me that he saw the plans in 2001 to overthrow Gaddafi, and that this was part of a strategy to overthrow 7 governments in 5 years, and all of them except one have been done at this point? So you're telling me it's just complete coincidence that he saw that the neoconservatives had this plan to overthrow Muammar Gaddafi, and then
All right, so I'm pausing that for copyright reasons. Sorry, but yeah. Once again, it's a little bit of a cliche now, but you know what? I thought the approach from Dave should have been dumb guy logic. And if you haven't heard me say that term before, what I mean by that is just simple, kindergarten level, simple ass questions where it's like, well, how can this and this exist at the same time? It's very simple questions, right? That's all that dumb guy logic is. Not to call someone dumb. It's just saying, like, any dumb fuck can come up with this question. If they're, like, just thinking for a second, they'd be like, well, wait, if a bunch of Saudis did 9/11, why did we invade Iraq? Dumb guy logic. Very simple, right? So Dave brings up a dumb guy logic point, where it's like, anyone can get that point, what he's making. Like, how come we take over, or let's be real, we regime change Libya in 2011, but the idea to do that was made in, let's be real, probably before 2001. Or at least Wesley Clark is saying in 2001. How can those two things exist at the same time? How did we spontaneously just all of a sudden go for regime change in Libya? How did that happen all of a sudden? But at the same time, there was plans for it in 2001. That can't just be coincidence, right? And it's not just Libya, right? They have checked off 6 of the 7 nations that Dave is talking about, that Wesley Clark was talking about. There's one left, right? Iran. So that's like, that should, like, once again, dumb guy logic should be like, whoa, he's right. Like, what? What do you do with that? Let's see what Douglas does with that. Let's see if Douglas will behave like a Douglas Murray. There we go.
10 years later, we happen to do it when we have the opportunity. The two aren't related at all?
First, it's nice to hear the N word again.
The N word? Did I say that?
Conservatives.
Oh, that one. I was thinking.
Yeah, he's used to being called that, I'm sure. It's in his Wikipedia. And it's in his behavior. It's apparently in his it's in his eyes. I see a neocon there. I see a Douglas Murray in those eyes. But not empathy, though. I don't see that. Anyways, here we go.
Thinking of a different one. Okay.
First of all, I would hope that there's American military planning for absolutely everything. I would hope that there is a scenario for absolutely everything somewhere in the American, in Pentagon or whatever.
Yeah, but he didn't say.
Yeah, but you didn't answer the question there, Dougie. You didn't answer the question, my man. This is when Dave Smith says, wait, hold on. Jamie, can you just play the clip so he knows what I'm talking about? Just play the clip for him. Just play the clip for him. Thank you. Because I believe Wesley Clark says, I read this memo and it said, well, we're going to go to war with 7 nations in 5 years. A plan to take them down in 5 years. Finishing off with Iran. I'm paraphrasing, but it wasn't oh no, we're just prepping for the just in case stuff. It was like, no, we're planning to run through the Middle East right now, and parts of Africa, which they have done. And there's no way around it. There's no way Douglas Murray can be a Douglas Murray and argue his way around this one, unless
They're drawing up war games. He said this is the plan that we're going to impose.
I would assume that, I would hope that, any major power like America would have plans in place for almost everything that is likely, including, I mean, America could have...
He just caught himself. Yeah, have plans for we will likely invade Libya. Have plans for it. Or a regime change in Libya. He caught himself right there. He's like, oh, I mean, it sounds like I'm admitting guilt. Like I'm making him sound guilty. I can't say it that way. Listen to that shit again. It would make sense. You would want America to have plans to overthrow country. I mean,
war games. He said this is the plan that we're going to impose.
I would assume that, I would hope that, any major power like America would have plans in place for almost everything that is likely, including, I mean, this...
So it's likely that they're going to overthrow Libya, and it would serve them well to have plans for it, ready to go. It would serve them well to have plans before they invade Libya, rather than just invading Libya at some point, or regime changing, or missile striking, or overthrowing governments. Just make sure you have a plan first, 10 years in advance. Make sure you have those plans ready to go. He caught himself. He's like, wait, oh, fuck, I just said that. Oh, fuck, Let's continue.
Have plans in place for almost everything that is likely, including, I mean, America could have, should have started planning for some kind of kinetic force in
kinetic
Libya
force
from the 1980s. Of course.
I hope you guys get it now that Douglas is just being Douglas. Douglas is being a Douglas Murray right there. He's like, oh, fuck, even when I'm trying to bullshit around and trying to dispel it, it just made it sound more guilty when I just said that. What the fuck? I mean, no, the kinetic forces of the Middle East, Libya, And then there became slave trading. And then possible chemical weapons making their way from Libya to Syria, allegedly being used by rebel forces. Allegedly. Because the U.S. doesn't trust Russia inspecting Syria's weapons, right? Where Russia's like, we inspected, they let us in, we inspected it, they don't have any fucking or we destroyed their chemical weapons, or whatever, or we took them and destroyed them. So they're out now. They're done. No more. And then chemical attacks kept happening. It's like, where are these coming from? Possibly Libya. Possibly. Or maybe the Russians gave it, the Russians were like, yeah, use gas on your own people. Do it. Don't worry, we left you some, Assad. We left you some chemical weapons there. While he's trying to win his people over to win a war. That would not be the smart thing to do. But hey, that's only logic. It's only dumb guy questioning. No big deal. But okay. Now let's do some more conversational things. Sorry to bore you. But I can't play too much of this. Otherwise, I think I'm going to get copyrighted. I'm going to get copyrighted for this part. For all I know. So if I upload this and you hear a bunch of empty audio, you know what happened. It is what it is. At the very least, the timestamps, the one where Dave looks wrecked when he says slaughter is at 2:21, 2 hours, 21 minutes. And the Wesley Clark part is slightly before 2 hours, 38 minutes, and probably like 50 seconds. So around there, just in case. Either way, okay. So overall assessment here. Dave did not do a great job, in my opinion. Now, if someone buys into the war in regards to if someone turns into a Douglas Murray and starts running in Douglas Murray's direction and say, like, I believe what Douglas Murray says, and now I'm a Douglas Murray, and I go out here and, I support whoever's causing the most havoc in the world. I support them. In the name of fighting other pieces of havoc. Meanwhile, they fund these motherfuckers, right? If someone walks away like that, that is not Dave's fault. I think Dave just got discouraged, because this guy is such a brazen... I don't think Dave has argued with anyone maybe he has. Maybe Dave has. I don't know. I don't know what his debate resume is or whatever, or his conversation resume is. But he might not have dealt with someone like this who was just willing, stone-faced lie, psychopathically lie. I don't think he's used to that. The way he came off seems like he wasn't used to it. Might be better prepared next time, but in this particular exchange, or in this particular podcast, I don't think he did too well, because he had plenty of opportunities to bring up information or things like things that could make Douglas Murray have to answer for it. Because Douglas Murray, no matter what, we just heard it right before, right? Where can we stop Hamas while also not slaughtering people? Slaughter? No, it's not slaughter. This is just war. That's what war is. All right? So you know where this fool's willing to go to. See that screenshot? That's Dave's fucking face when he said that. He's wrecked. He can't believe another human being is that callous like that. He's like, what? Wait, you study this stuff? You know about it? And you are this cold and callous and psychopathic about it? He can't believe it. It's probably disheartening for him. At the end, he was also very disheartened when certain things were said. But yeah, there was moments where Dave missed the opportunity that I think a lot of people that study the issue would not be missing out on. I mean, you have human Google Jamie over there. Just let him fucking look it up for you. Every time, with Douglas Murray, they just want to kill and torture the hostages and keep them and rape and all that stuff. And you bring up, well, what about the ceasefires? Why did Israel break the ceasefire that could have got, in good faith, phase 1, they gave the hostages back, right? Or not all of them, but they gave some hostages back. And thus, if they're bluffing, let's call them out on it. Let's go to phase 2 and see if they give over the hostages. But Israel couldn't help itself. It had to start cutting off water and electricity. It had to start killing people. And then it went to all-out bombings again. So they broke the fucking ceasefire. As far as I understand, as far as most reports I see, they broke the fucking ceasefire. They won't get blamed for it from Douglas Murray's of the world, right? Or President Douglas Murray won't fucking call it out. And Prime Minister Douglas Murray in Israel is definitely not fucking doing that, right? He's the one doing it. So, yeah, but other people should... I think a lot of people already recognize that Israel broke the ceasefire. Dave didn't say that once. That's something he could have said. And once again, dumb guy logic. You don't have to say it in a statement. Just ask the question. Did Israel break this more recent ceasefire that broke down? What happened there, Douglas Murray? Tell me. Give me your narrative. And then have something ready where it's oh, well, I heard something way different. Jamie, pull up slide 24, whatever, right? Pull up that video I sent you, Jamie. Pull that up. And just listen to a little report about Israel breaking the ceasefire. Right? There's Israelis, people who have family that are hostages that were protesting because of that. They all blamed Prime Minister Douglas Murray in Israel. They all blamed him or his government. There are Israeli journalists that are saying this. Probably Haaretz, right? Where he can't claim anti-Semitism, Douglas Murray. So there you go. There's one instance. Another thing, where he questions you, he pushes back on the idea of slaughter, right? No, that's just war. You have plenty of doctors, which a video I'm going to play at the end of this. You have plenty of doctors that are saying what's actually happening there. and how graphic it is. And these are not, oopsies, I hit a kid. Oopsies, I shot a kid. It's like, no, these are like targeted. Why are you double tapping children? Pause. Sorry. Doesn't make sense. Like, how'd your sniper accidentally hit a kid in the back through the heart and the bullet come out the front of their bodies? Did he slip? Was he aiming at Hamas and hit a kid who has his back turned? How'd that happen? Was Hamas giving piggyback rides to these kids? Like, oh, human shields grabbed them, piggyback rides. And then they were shooting the kids? I don't fucking think so. Don't worry, I'll play that doctor video after this. Thank you, T-Lab, for playing that shit all the time. Made me remember it. Another thing that could have been brought up. The more recent story of the 15 medics that were found buried in a shallow grave, along with the ambulances buried in the dirt too. Like, that's clearly covering. First of all, that's covering up a crime. Clear as day. And then once the first story breaks down of like, yo, like, oh, these guys had they had no sirens on, they had no headlights on, they didn't identify as medical guys. You can clearly see them dressed as medics, medical vans, medical logos, sirens, headlights, all on. Like, oh no, those guys, they were just Hamas. They changed their story around and say, oh no, half were Hamas. Without proof, again, and no one holding him to it, let's be honest. So let's put that question to Douglas Murray. You don't even say that story, Dave. You just play, okay, here's what here's what people found. They found these bodies. Here was Israel's response to it. And then video footage came out, and now here's Israel's response to it. What do you think about that, Douglas? And keep it moving. Like there's plenty more like that. There's events before October 7th where innocent civilians are being gunned down by IDF soldiers to showcase you don't have to agree with Hamas, you don't have to agree with war, you could be anti-war and all that stuff. But if you were a detective and you were looking over a crime scene, and it's like, man, what were the motives of the person who's perpetrating the crime? What were their motives? Or even this, in the sense of, what was their justification to maybe Palestinian people, right? Let's say Hamas is the most evil boogeyman of all time, and they were looking for a justification to carry out such things. Could they not hide behind, peaceful protests where 50 fucking people die, where it's a bunch of doctors and people in wheelchairs? But they're throwing tires or something? Like, oh, fuck. They're throwing tires. Fucking shoot them all. Amongst other things. Sniper videos of them giggling and laughing, recording themselves shooting a fucking kid with a sniper rifle. Those are it's all on the internet. There's no way around this. If Rogan says, well, that's kind of, we can't show stuff like that on tough shit, Joe. Tough shit. If you can't show it, watch it yourself on your fucking phones, and then tell me what happened. Don't show it, Joe. Link it in your description box. Yo, Jamie, can you link these in the description box? Link them. Link the videos. Link all of them. Everything I bring up, linked it. Link the receipts for all this stuff. I mean, once again, overall, here's all, in my opinion, that Dave had. Once again, I'm not blaming Dave. I don't think he doesn't come off as full of shit to me. At first, I was in a little bit of a question because of the whole Trump shit. I'm like, what are these fucking idiots doing? But he might have just been an idiot. But in this situation, he should have went, in my opinion, just gone dumb guy logic through and through. That is all he needed to do. Ask simple questions that require certain answers as far as based on evidence that we have out here. If he doesn't answer it in a way that you think, like, doesn't sound correct, Jamie, can you bring up this article that showcases otherwise? And make it really dumb and simple and talk like he's a fucking alien or a child. And make him and watch him dance. He will dance, backflip, do the fucking twist, do the split. He will do the fucking chingy dance. He'll throw them bows like ludicrous. He'll do it all, bro. He'll do everything. He'll do the electric slide to make it seem that Israel is the victim of it. And guess what? When you showcase that, there's no way around it. In the comment section, even without that happening, where Douglas Murray was still being a Douglas Murray and wrecking himself and embarrassing himself, and all the comments I went through, I think I saw one maybe in favor of Douglas Murray. The rest were like, this guy is fucking full of shit, bro. He's full of shit, or he's a pompous asshole. So that's all Dave had to do. Simple questions, and like, okay, answer this. Bring up a story or an idea or a question. Very simple, where there's no way around it. The 15 medics, where it's like, there's no way around this. And this is not strategy, by the way. This is not a strategy thing. This is a straight up like, I need to IQ test you, Douglas Murray, to see what levels you'll go to. If I show you a video of an IDF sniper shooting a child for no fucking reason, and you blame Hamas for it, right? If it's a kid playing with a soccer ball, but if they're somewhere in the area, and this guy's laughing and giggling and taking a fucking video of it on his phone and kills this kid, there is no way around it. That is a war crime. Okay, so like, yo, Douglas, next time you go to Israel, you need to find out who that fucking soldier was. Be a journalist. Find out who the fuck that soldier was and be like, yo, this guy should be court-martialed or wherever the fuck they do over there. Because that is a war crime. And that is not Hamas pulling the trigger. And that little child is not Hamas playing with a soccer ball. There's no way around it. So you just keep it very simple. You don't try to get complex. You don't try to out-trick him or anything. You don't need to trick people. You just say things straight up. And watch him dance. The Wesley Clark thing he brought up, this fool he's like, yeah. He's fucking struggling around, dancing and shit. Then he had to turn it into an entirely different topic. I kid you not. He turned it into being about anti-Semitism. That's what he did with that. Let me find that part. Let me see if I can play that too.
War games with China, war games with Russia. We've in case said that not only are he was told news that have nuclear arsenals, like just in case we have to fight a traditional war and nukes aren't being used. That's not what he's talking about. He said that not only are he was told we're in Afghanistan now. This is late 2001. Syria, Somalia, and finishing off with Iran. He laid out the path of what we're about to do, and then we did it. In the next administration, you don't think there was any connection between those two?
What, we did Somalia and Sudan?
No, I'm sorry.
Fuck, idiot. See this guy, like, not even taking it seriously. He's like, oh, wow.
He's
filibustering again. Well, he didn't filibuster.
I'm sorry, if you go look at the list of 7 countries, it was, I believe,
want to do any of those things. Who wants to do it?
Well, what he said.
Now, someone could take that and be like, okay, Douglas Murray is not being a Douglas Murray here. He's just asking a question because he's curious. Like, why would someone want to do that? You would think. But in my humble opinion, I think it was a setup for something else, as you're about to hear.
Why would America want to do any of those things? Who wants to do it?
Well, what he said is that essentially these plans, he said later in an interview with Piers Morgan, that he had seen the plans at first in 1991, that they came from Paul Wolfowitz, that basically then they got, what's funny about what the 4-star general said?
And now you're about to see my point. He brings up, right? Dave just being accurate as he can be. I didn't even hear about that one. about him on Piers Morgan saying he actually first saw it in 1991. I didn't even know about that one. But he says, yeah, from Paul Wolfowitz. And that's all Douglas Murray needed to hear to let everyone know, like, oh, no, I'm still just Douglas Murray.
Okay, continue.
No, I'm just curious. What's laughable about this?
Paul Wolfowitz is a great figure for almost any deep conspiracy in this country because he was a Deputy Secretary of Defense at the highest in his life. He is forever being ascribed almost supernatural power.
I don't think anyone's
the highest position he ever got to was as Donald Rumsfeld's deputy, and it's a very strange thing always when Wolfowitz's name comes up because he was a relatively low-level person to whom almost everything can be ascribed. And
Well, okay, you hear that? I'm pausing for copyright again. So he's very enamored or fascinated with particularly, like, he stopped him in the middle of, like, once again, see that fucking screenshot right there? See that face? That is him. I'm telling you, it's full-blown wreckage. Where Dave's actually bringing up a point that Wesley Clark brought up, right? And instead of addressing it, he's stuck on Wolfowitz for some reason. I wonder why.
I didn't describe, again, this is such a straw man. I didn't describe everything to him. I'm literally telling you what
countries. But anyway, go on.
No, I'm telling you what the 4-star general said about him. And I wouldn't say Deputy Secretary of Defense.
Cheney, but yeah.
Yeah, agree. As the first saw, I will look at they study. You can go.
By the way, Douglas Murray has his answer already. Like he's probably just, in one ear, out the other, right? Everything that Dave's saying right now because he's prepped with what he wants to say next. Like, okay, I got you figured out now. I got the perfect response for you.
Go overthrow Muammar Gaddafi. I do not think is right.
Well, first of all, before I get to the substance of it, why would they want the current situation in Libya?
Huh?
Why would they want the current situation in Libya?
Well, because they wanted Gaddafi out.
My opinion would be that they want to destabilize the Middle East to take advantage of it, which is what has happened. Is it not? Destabilize the region, let your allies start taking over territory, yada, yada, yada. You essentially control it, I think, with more destabilization and no official governments that can maybe push back. And hopefully it all leads to a 5-star resort everywhere across the Middle East. Beautiful territory, beautiful real estate. It's beautiful. That's just a little theory of mine. Like, it's easier to control when people don't know what the fuck to do. There's no organized militaries. It's just kind of a rogue state. Also, if you want to use the narrative of terrorism spreading throughout the world, and you have the bottle cap of Africa destabilized, where there's no one stopping that, and they can just flood in from Africa into the Middle East, or from the Middle East into Africa, and boom, war on terror expands even further. Look at that. Just works conveniently like that. But all right, I want to hear the where Douglas really wants to go. Here we go.
Israel, yeah, sure. But he was, the Europeans and everybody else in NATO found that Gaddafi was a really relatively easy person to get on with latterly.
Right? I think it was an insane policy.
No, but you'll notice that after he hands over the nuclear program and thus makes himself very vulnerable, unfortunately, for the future of world peace, Libya has been unutterably disastrous for
I'm sorry,
Europe. Hang on.
No, just a clarifying question.
Disastrous for Europe.
I agree with you.
And Somalia and Sudan. Why does America or Israel want to do regime change in Somalia?
Can I just ask you?
He's pretending like that's an idiotic thing to consider, but once again, the more recent stories, like if this podcast is from today or yesterday, I think it's from today. Yo, Dougie boy, you know what's going on in fucking Yemen, right? and the whole argument about ports and ships and all that shit. Oh, the fucking Houthis want to control the Red Sea, and they're firing at our naval ships and our, our commercial ships and our fucking, Israel ships and our ally ships and all that stuff, and they're mad about it. And it's like, well, who else is over there? Isn't Somalia by the Red Sea? Sudan? Is it possible they want to control ports or control areas close to ports? Is that possible? Dougie boy? But I don't know if Dave was thinking about that. I mean, I would have tied it right to Yemen. And as much as people have made a thing about Yemen getting bombed, right? I'm pretty sure Somalia was being bombed. And Sudan, I think. I heard more so about Somalia because they're trying to regime change there and give one side favor over the other. And thus, if the U.S. has their allies in there, they can help. It'll help maybe with the ports, possibly. But all right, let me find the part where Dougie boy gets into his real his real counterpoint.
To a clarifying question on this, what when you say that was
That him being, sorry, I should have clarified. My thing is him being overthrown after he's given over the nuclear. We don't use what happened to Gaddafi as being a good precursor.
do it a good round.
Death, as you put it. But yeah, they want a nuke because they. I mean, if you like what the Iranian revolutionary government's done since 1990, when you start talking about Paul Wolfowitz and Richard Pearl, it's all awfully noxious smelling. Richard Pearl was a member of the Defense Policy Board, which had an advisory capacity toward the
Filibustering
in the early 2000s.
Filibuster.
But it.
Oh, shit.
Okay. In the last 30 years of American foreign policy, there have been many major actors.
Oh my God, he's so fucking.
Circle. In my view, I'm not saying you're guilty of this, certainly not knowingly. In my view, when people start talking about Paul Wolfowitz, I always remember that line of Mark Stein's many years ago, and he said, you can't help thinking that one of the reasons why people find Wolfowitz so appealing to talk about is that his name starts with a nasty animal and ends Jewish.
That is a funny thing.
He thought that was cute, and I would have this look that Dave has on his face. That would be my look on my face. Rogan wants to make everyone comfortable, so he'll laugh at stupid fucking jokes where it's like, what are you implying with that? What the fuck are you implying? I'm not here to fucking play with you, bro. This ain't bro time. I almost said the C word again, bro. I said that cunt word, bro. But I gotta call him what he is. He's a Douglas Murray, for sure. So you can basically see where he's going with this.
I was gonna say,
People
I think
love saying Wolfowitz.
It's such a great name.
it is for
Yes,
an
right,
evil villain
right.
in a movie.
You can say,
Yeah,
aha. He's perfect for it. Perfect
Yeah,
for it.
and he looked
You say-
perfect
you'll
for
say, right, you'll say, oh, the crafty Paul Wolfowitz.
His crazy eye.
See, Joe Rogan's leaning into it, thinking he's like, oh yeah, because Wolfowitz, he's like a bad guy. I get it. He's like a stereotype, because Joe Rogan was not paying attention. He's probably he's daydreaming. He's probably thinking about weed or pussy or something, or alpha brain. Right? He's not paying attention probably. But Murray is clearly implying like this is about anti-Semitism. That's why people bring up Wolfowitz's fucking name, or bring up maybe crimes he's involved in. Right? It's because he's Jewish. Obviously, that's where Douglas Murray's going. And Joe Rogan's like, oh, yo, yeah, he's got like the bushy eyebrows, man. He's like a typical movie villain, right? No, Joe, I'm talking about anti-Semitism, you idiot. Shut up. Stop talking. Anyways, the hatreds for the Jewish people. It's like, like this is what he's. That's the web that this fool's fucking spinning in this very long, dramatic, drawn-out, fucking theatrical performance style shit. It's batshit crazy. To a Jewish guy, by the way. To Dave Smith, a Jewish guy, like informing, like, hey man, these ideas are anti-Semitic, you know? Like, are you calling Wesley Clark anti-Semitic? Are you calling me anti-Semitic? Are you calling anyone who questions this idea or questions Paul Wolfowitz? Are you calling them anti-Semitic? I just don't know what he's doing. Rogan's just entertained by it. Crazy enough. But, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
for it.
and he
You
looked
say-
perfect
you'll
for
say, Right, you'll say, oh, the crafty Paul Wolfowitz.
his crazy
famous
eyebrows.
hawk.
So you're a
and so on.
bigot. You're a
Ha-
Jew hater if you
that's-
mention the
No, no,
neocons.
no, no, no.
Storyteller.
Just let me continue with the thought.
He gets triggered by the word neocon, by the way. What'd you say, Jesse?
It's a storyteller. Like he anchored on one word or his name in the whole story, and which I never even knew the guy's name. I might have heard it, but it didn't catch on to anything for me. And he anchored on that, and he had this whole story in his back pocket. He had ready, right? Like this isn't like, oh, this isn't off the cuff. Like, and so Dave is about to say something, and he's like, "Hey, I'm not done." Like he's gonna break his story rhythm. So he's like, you don't want to lose that rhythm. You forget because it's sequential. He has this rehearsed.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's rehearsed in the sense of he heard that one name and absolutely dismissed the rest of the story. He was already thinking about, okay, how am I going to approach this anti-Semitism angle? I can run with that, right? Okay, that's my route. That's my route through this. And obviously, Dave falls for it. Once again, I think he struggled. Not in the sense of, like, he's an asshole or he's full of shit, but I think he struggled and, like, I don't think what he realized he was arguing with, like, I really don't think he understands that Douglas Murray is a Douglas Murray, bro. I don't think he realizes that shit. Anyways.
So
Let's just hear him confirm what I'm saying just so people know.
I remember
this
those
will be the last clip.
days, and his boss, Donald Rumsfeld, was like the ruler of the world at that time. He had such
Oh, get on
charisma,
with it.
Such genius was attributed to him for the initial invasion of Iraq. Like people, you can't imagine the admiration that existed in the defense establishments around the world for Rumsfeld. Dick Cheney was so powerful that people of right and left, particularly on the left, spent all those years in the W. Bush administration saying W wasn't the real president. He was being run by Dick Cheney because he was the brilliant, etc., etc.
You're certainly listening to him at the beginning.
Okay, but I'm just saying it goes back to this thing of when certain ideas catch hold and what's really going on in them. To attribute a
There's no legitimacy to questioning any of this stuff. It all just comes back to anti-Semitism. Like, what? No, I was quoting, is Wesley Clark an anti-Semite? Is that what you're saying? Is that why he said that? Is that why I'm saying it? What the fuck are you talking about? But he carefully it just moved the conversation in a different direction. And once again, yeah, Dave was wrecked, bro. He fell for it. Not wrecked in the sense of argumentation, but wrecked in the sense of this guy full of shit. Like, damn, you're that level, bro. You're that low. There we go.
American foreign policy in the last 40 years to Paul Wolfowitz and Dick Pearl is knowingly or otherwise
Dick Pearl.
to encourage a conspiracy that has very obvious legs. And I just urge you not to do it.
Okay, let me...
He's talking about anti-Semitism. I just want him to confirm it in words.
Let me just... Right. Can't bring up the neoconservatives...
I never said
or
you
mention-
couldn't. I
okay,
just
let
laughed.
me just... Right, but the implication some like sequential just be like, or be argued.
You think that some people are running the global financial system, and I said possibly, and I said, who do you think it is? And they said, the Rothschilds.
And now you get it. Obviously, he's bringing up anti-Semitism. I just wanted to make sure it was known. Move on from this. And I'm just going to play this clip, and that'll be the end of everything. These are the things that Mr. Douglas Murray is being a Douglas Murray on. He's protecting you from knowing stuff like this. He doesn't want you to know any of this stuff. Just collapse that. There we go. This is from T-Lav, from another interview, but here we go.
Of all the disaster zones you've seen, how does Gaza compare?
All of the disasters I've seen combined, 40 mission trips, 30 years, ground zero, earthquakes, all of that combined doesn't equal the level of carnage that I saw.
Think about that statement. They all have the same point.
Don't bury the lead.
Every other thing he's ever seen in his entire career combined does not equal what he saw in Gaza. And we're supposed to dismiss this? We're supposed to ignore this? We're supposed to not give this? I mean, this is bombshell. If this was about Iran or Russia or China or Venezuela, it would be everywhere. But not on Twitter, not on the free speech haven, not on any, I mean, this was even done by a mainstream report. And yet here we are. Every government that needs to hear, still supporting, still arming, still gaslighting. Every single person running in this pretend election that's supposed to be, they're all supporting the genocidal entity that's doing this?
Now, to pause it there, you think about Syria, it's like, you think about it, as far as on paper, even from the horse's mouth, right, Donald Trump, sorry, my bad, even the leader of the free world, Douglas Murray, even he was like, yeah, these guys, these rebel forces aren't so nice. These are bad guys. They're Al-Qaeda. They're ISIS. Even though I defeated ISIS, I defeated the Caliphate. But yeah, those are bad guys. Those are bad guy rebels. So in a way, he's like calling them Hamas. And then Assad was fighting Hamas, essentially. But everything that would happen there would be blamed on Assad. No matter what. No matter what. But in Israel, for some reason, the narrative's the opposite. It's everything there is Hamas's fault. And it's, according to all the Douglas Murrays of the world, Israel has done nothing wrong. If they do something wrong, it's just war. This is what happens in war. That's it. It's excusable. If Syria did it, once again, on the surface, if Syria did it, it's evil dictator Bashar al-Assad. It's just interesting. Once again, I have no love for any of these motherfuckers, to be real with you. There's a whole bunch of Douglas Murrays running around this motherfucker all over this planet. But, you know, I'm just saying, logically, if you have a brain, you know, if you're too dumb and you've been brainwashed, I don't know what to fucking tell you, bro. Like, come join YellBro's church. Actually, you can't join my church. But you can be a witness to my church. How about that? Anyways, here's more.
We're still giving them bombs and money. And I mean, my God. Let's not forget about the ridiculous the pier, the game they did where they built a pier under the guys that were going to bring food in. They conducted an operation that deliberately targeted and murdered civilians. And then they were done. And now the pier's gone. It's just so stupidly obvious. These people are.
You got to play the video. You got to play the video.
Against civilians in just my first week in Gaza.
And when you say civilians, is it mostly children?
Almost exclusively children.
Almost exclusively. That needs to resonate. This is a war on children. And I don't mean that because all wars affect children more.
T-Lav!
Campaign. That's what this is.
Let this video play.
I've never seen that before. Never seen that. I've seen more incinerated children than I've ever seen in my entire life combined. I've seen more shredded children in just the first week.
Shredded?
Shredded.
What do you mean?
Missing body parts, being crushed by buildings, the greatest majority, or bomb explosions, the next greatest majority. We've taken shrapnel as big as my thumb out of 8-year-olds.
The UN reports that to date, more than 80% of Gaza's population has been displaced, and the majority of its buildings destroyed.
I mean, Douglas told me, like, every second and third, pretty sure he said second and, every second and third house that is searched is booby-trapped with bombs, so they have to blow it up. They have to blow it up, you know? And it's like, God dang, Hamas gets around, bro. They got that many weapon caches all over, like every second, or 2/3 of the housing have Hamas in it somehow. And thus, Douglas Murray is justified to level all the buildings. That's why when you see those images of nowadays, of today's Gaza, like this is from the past. This video is from the past, from like a year ago, or a year ago. This might be November, months ago. Oh, it might be like fuck. When's this from? Let me double check.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part. So when he said
This is from
every second
fucking
and third,
August. This is from August 2024. Or this live stream was from August 2024. The actual video he's playing, I don't know exactly when. Go ahead. Sorry, Jesse. Go ahead.
yeah. So when he said every second and third building had somebody from Hamas, he said that they had to blow it up, like basically ahead of time. Like
They're
like
booby
didn't-
trapped. They're booby trapped.
Yeah. Well, there's a presumption of booby traps, so they just bomb it straight, right? Like,
Or, well, I think he was saying you have to blow it up after. Like, oh, it's all booby traps, so just blow up the house. Like, afterwards, they have like a controlled demolition
after.
and blow up the house.
oh, after. Okay, I thought you meant like they're just like, nah, there's probably booby traps, so let's just blow it up.
No,
I thought you meant ahead.
no. They assume it's, I guess, they take a peek through the doorway, like, damn, booby trapped. All right, blow it up.
Okay.
They probably do something like that. And it's like, damn, Hamas booby trapped 2/3 of the housing there, and there were still civilians living in there, or what?
I mean, if you want to like destroy evidence, that would be one way.
Or make it so that no one can ever come back.
Mm.
There's no home to come back to. If you're a lying little Douglas Murray, maybe you do that. But, that's just a conspiracy theory. Forgive me. All right, let's keep it moving.
A reality which has taken its own toll on the well-being of children.
What about the emotional wounds?
How can you measure that? I can't measure my own. How do you be an orphan and watching your family, melted in front of you? And
I swear it gets me every time. I just see somebody like that.
You
I
have.
don't imagine what they're feeling. Many
You have.
feel, and yet he almost
You
never
have.
act like this is not the most that evil to me. And I'm along
You
with
have.
everything else.
right it in front of you. How do you fix that? Ever fix that?
In fact, so many Palestinian children have had family members killed that doctors created a shorthand term, WCNSF, wounded child, no surviving family.
Every single part of the hospital has been destroyed. The whole infrastructure of the hospital has been destroyed. When I spoke to Marwan yesterday, he told me there were 107 patients still in the hospital, 60 medical staff.
Didn't play the sniper
God
part.
only
That's
knows
I
what
was
has
looking for.
happened to them. I think we've seen some of the pictures. Surgeons I know have been executed in the last 48 hours there. Bodies have been discovered in the last 12 to 24 hours who have been handcuffed. Every single part of the hospital has been destroyed. The whole infrastructure of the hospital has been destroyed. When I spoke to Marwan yesterday, he told me there were 107 patients still in the hospital, 60 medical staff. God only knows what has happened to them. I think we've seen some of the pictures.
I seen that
Surgeons
on
I know have been
CNN.
executed in the last 48 hours there. Bodies have been discovered in the last 12 to 24 hours who have been handcuffed with their arms behind their back. And so there is no doubt at all that multiple healthcare workers have been executed there in the last few days.
You believe executed by whom, Doctor?
By the Israeli Defense Force.
Why would...
Yeah, and that's in the UK where Douglas Murray's from, right?
They seek to execute surgeons and medical professionals?
Well, they've been doing it since October the 7th. Over 450 healthcare workers have been killed. Friends of mine that I have worked with over the years, many have been abducted as well, and nothing has been heard of them since. So there is no doubt in my mind, and I can bear witness from this from my time at Al-Aqsa Hospital and from talking to people, that there's been direct targeting of the healthcare system in Gaza, direct targeting of hospitals, and multiple killings of healthcare workers.
Any death is tragic, but this is not, and I say again, anyone dying in any sense. So this is not, and please don't be upset by this expression, collateral damage. This is specifically targeted, you're saying, medical professionals by the IDF to be taken off and executed, is your belief?
Most certainly, that is my belief.
Well, and I guess a British guy or gal among 7 aid workers killed in Gaza. This is from August. This live stream is from August. I've seen this video before. Yeah, like, once again, you can cut out all the maiming, all the kind of harsh images, and just play audio of it, and make Douglas Murray say something about it, and watch him shake his ass and dance and say it's Hamas's fault. Why was Hamas hiding behind that British aid worker? Why? Why were they doing that? That's what Douglas Murray and Douglas Murray like would say. All right, there's your video. Subscribe if you like. Comment, agree, disagree. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to share, support, or hopefully donate to all the links in the description box. Check them out, read them, share them. Do it. Also, with the comment thing, what do you think about this? Like, I'm telling you, right? I keep saying it. I need to emphasize this. We're living in the middle of something horrendous, and it's nothing but amped up since Trump's gotten in office. It's just ramped up. Same thing under Biden, just more. It's just going faster now. They're just willy-nilly trying to get it done. I think there's things where it's like allegedly some documents got leaked that these guys were like, damn, we got to get this done before Trump leaves office. Because he's not going to care. He's going to send us bombs. He's going to send us money. We need to get this done during his term. It's fucking scary. And like I said, I already said, I think it's too late. There's not going to be enough time to sway the people of America to realize what the fuck their government's doing. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about this now, but a lot of them are subverting and going into something like that even Douglas Murray would be able to make a case for anti-Semitism on. But more so, there's more people that are just doing this in a healthy way and questioning what's happening, but it's like, we're at the end game here. This should have been, this should have been noticed before October 7th. Let's be honest about that. And maybe it would have prevented October 7th. Maybe. But, yeah, it is what it is. Also, tell me what you think. What do you think about Dave? Watch the entire thing, and tell me what you think about what Dave Smith was doing. Definitely what Joe Rogan was doing. I mean, unbelievable silence. Like, deafening silence from that guy. Deafening. And the only time he made noise was when he was laughing at Douglas Murray's jokes. And obviously, the Douglas Murray of Douglas Murray's Douglas Murray. Tell me what you think about that guy. Once again, this is my first time listening to long-form comments from this guy, and he is full-blown locked in. I don't know if he's brainwashed. I don't know if he's paid. I don't know if he just loves to be a Douglas Murray or something. Who knows? But, all right. There you go. And obviously, what you must do is give this video a thumbs down.
Say you wanna get in.